Hello and welcome. I'm Lori Carbonneau, host of this wonderful 39th annual McLean Holiday Art and Crafts Festival. It is such a treasure that we're all together, and I'd like to start today by recognizing the courage and the creativity and the perseverance that it took to make this happen in this 2020. It was Catherine Nesbitt, the Special Events Manager of the McLean Community Center, and her team, Matt Hawkins-Smith and Val Sheridan-Comer, who persevered all year. They were committed from the beginning of this year to make sure that this could come together, because we all know what art means to us in good days and in challenging days, inspiring us and helping us find new ways to express ourselves. So thank you so much, Catherine, Matt, and Val. It's really been a treat to work with you. And I know you have enjoyed very much working with Anthony Estrico and his team, Brianna and Jules, in bringing this together. So Anthony, Brianna, and Jules, thank you for the creativity of putting this all together. And lastly, we all know it's a team, and this team is as big as Fairfax County. It took Fairfax County Procurement, led by the enormous organization that it is, to focus on this very one special event. George Sachs, you and your team, and the entire board of the McLean Community Center, we thank you. This is something we all enjoy throughout the region, and today is no different. You're going to have a wonderful event today. There's a whole range of ways to interact with and learn from the artists who are here to share with you their art and their crafts. One of the silver linings of 2020 is this chance to be virtual and get to know a little bit about people behind the scenes. So you're going to have a chance to watch some videos, and then I'll be back online to talk with the various artists in two phases of the show. So a video, a conversation, a video, and a conversation. We encourage you to use the chat space to ask questions. We'll keep an eye on it. And then we also encourage you to go to mcleancenter.org and check out the festival links to find each of these artists and explore this wonderful e-commerce holiday opportunity. So I'd like to start with introducing you to Emily Pazulich. She is a past president of the Northern Virginia Handcrafters Guild and is the second year that she is chairing this event. Emily, I know it takes a lot of work to put this on. Thank you so much for what you've done. It's been a treat to work with you. And I would appreciate it if you'd let everybody know a little bit more about the festival and the artists we'll be seeing. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the McLean Holiday Art and Crafts Festival. This year we'll have a really special show. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the Northern Virginia Handcrafters Guild. We are a guild of more than 100 different artists that make handmade items in totally different categories. There's jewelry, there's glass, there's woodworking, just about every kind of handmade good that you might want. And this show, which we are managing, has been juried by the Northern Virginia Handcrafters Guild to ensure that the best, most creative, and most original artists with an eye towards quality and technique were selected for this show. So you will find that some of your favorites here from past McLean shows are with us today, and you will find some new ones as well. We encourage you to shop early and often. You can go to the McLean Community Center website, and on the McLean Holiday Art and Craft Festival page, there is a link to all of the different artists who are in the show. If you have any troubles, please, I could be reached by chat, and we're happy to help you out. In the meantime, enjoy the show. Thanks.
So this is the first of the two videos that you're going to be enjoying today. And it's a chance for you to get to know artists behind the scenes and get a little bit more of the idea of their art, their trade, the opportunity in the market, and their background. I will let you enjoy this first video. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda. And I'm her sister Pam. And together we're Just For You Baskets. Why would you buy one of our baskets?
Because of the quality. We don't use any glue or staples or nails in our baskets like some of the others that you're aware of that are out there on the market. And we can do any color, shape, size, anything that fits you and your decor. Just get a hold of us and we can make your vision happen.
Our survivor baskets are usually individually made for the customer, but what's unique about them is that there's a little baggie inside that has all the ingredients you need to be a survivor. It's rather humorous, but it's a nice gift for someone who needs a little pick-me-up, or just to let somebody know you're thinking about them. Somebody may be in the hospital or just got out of the hospital. It's also a nice gift for graduates or new mothers. You can tuck gift cards down in them also.
One of my favorites to make, and one of our most popular, is our Lazy Susan basket. Here's one here that's in browns and neutral colors, and you can spin it, and it has dividers in it too. There's all kinds of uses our customers have found for this basket. Also, this is a great basket that we make for weddings. You can see it has two different colors that were the colors of their wedding, and they used the basket to hand out favors and menus, and it has a swing handle. Now this one is very unusual because it's called a double wall basket. It's actually two baskets woven together. You can see the inside has this design, but the outside has a whole different design. And the bushel handles are very strong. It makes it very sturdy. This is a great basket for all kinds of uses in your house. I love making this one. Easter baskets are very popular on our website. Here's one example here that has all kinds of Easter colors in it, and it's actually slightly whitewashed so that it gives it more of a pastel look.
Hi, my sister Pam and I took a basket class about 16 years ago and liked it so well and did so well that we decided to keep learning. We had lots of requests from our family and friends to make baskets, so we have an Etsy site that we set up about 3 years ago. We have all 5-star ratings for our baskets, so that really makes us feel good, and we want you to be part of that experience. So please visit our Etsy site or our website and check out our baskets and contact us. Thanks.
Hello, this is Ann Clark coming to you from my glass studio in Reston, Virginia. I took a stained glass class in 1986. With my first sun catcher, I was awed by the beauty of glass and how it changes with the sun and the seasons. This is a brief video of my techniques and styles in making glass pieces. Stained glass pieces of glass are cut and assembled together with a metal bond between them. That's a solder seam overlaid a copper foil. A second type of construction is kiln formed or fused glass. Clear glass is overlaid with colored pieces of glass and fired in a kiln to make it a single unit. This is an example of painted glass. This is clear glass which has been painted 3 times with a dark paint, and then with a lighter paint to give the shading, and then with the blue after each application of paint. It's fired in a kiln, so it's been fired 3 times. In addition to windows, I also make glass bowls, plates, and coasters. For the painted bowls, I begin with a clear top and an opaque base. The top is painted and fired 3 times, as I described earlier. Then it's flipped over, placed on the base, fused, and then slumped into a ceramic mold to give it the bowl shape. I also make bowls that have sparkly glass, such as dichroic or iridized. My designs reflect the rich color and symmetry of rose windows and also scenes from the natural world. To round out your studio tour, here is the space where each piece is produced. The racks, which hold sheets of glass and jars of paint. One workbench for design and seated work. Windows for natural light. And a second bench for cutting and assembling the pieces. Go to my website AnnClarkGlass.com to see far more panels and bowls than I could take to a craft show. Contact me with any comments, questions, orders, or ideas for custom work. I thank you for watching this video and wish you well.
Hello, my name is Sandra McCaslin. Welcome to my North Carolina studio where I make one-of-a-kind reversible throw blankets. I love, love, love finding fabulous fabrics, mostly tapestries, to make unique, one-of-a-kind reversible throws that are both functional and add pizzazz to any room. These are just a few that I have made. For example, this one has a vivid red and yellow and orange eye cat, and on the back side, I think you can see this, I put a red geometric. You can use either side, so each throw has a totally unique look, getting 2 for 1. Each throw is finished with hand stitching. The fringe ends are double stitched. These throws, I hope, are going to be around and enjoyed for years to come. As I said earlier, I think my favorite part is finding fabulous fabrics. These throws can be used to put on chairs, the foot of a bed, hung as wall tapestries, whatever you like to do. I will just show you this. For 2020, I have been working on new looks, I guess COVID boredom. This one has 4 fabrics I've done in alternating strips, and the back side is a coordinating solid. Just one of my many designs. A blue and cream animal print, and on and on and on. I think my next thing I'm going to be working on is this stripe coordinating with this lovely red floral. What do you think? I ship my throws worldwide. I have been very fortunate. Broadway designers have found me. My plays have been in 3 Broadway productions, but I'm even happier to send them to someone who can enjoy them in their home like you. Just for you, use the code FRIEND, F-R-I-E-N-D, capital F-R-I-E-N-D, 10, FRIEND 10, for an additional 10% off. And shipping is free right now. So check me out, contact me if you have any questions. I would love for you to have one of my throws that make great gifts, and I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you so much for listening, and greetings from the South.
Hi everyone, this is Amy Yule with Pecan Yummies, the Yum Master, coming to you from Old Mill Kitchen, where we do all the baking and the magic occurs. These are some of my baking utensils, but let me tell you about the Pecan Yummies. First of all, this is my product. I came up with a recipe. It's a pecan with a baked meringue coating. It's all natural and gluten-free. It comes to you in 3 different sizes, 4 ounce, 8 ounce, and a pound. And the bags are all sealed to keep the freshness in. And the shelf life is 8 to 12 months. So I hope you will enjoy some of these and order them online, pecanyummies.com, or you can call me at 888-AMY-YULE, which is 888-269-9853. Glad to have you here.
Welcome to Christmas at Pecan Yummyville. We're talking about yummy crummy combos. In each one of the combos, you get a 4 ounce bag of pecan yummies. a 6-ounce bag of yummy crummies, and then you get to pick whether you want a nutcracker, a baking dish, a ceramic baking dish, a ceramic coffee mug, and in all the baking dishes and coffee mugs, we even put a muffin mix with instructions on how to use the pecan yummies and yummy crummies. Yum Monster here, 4-ounce tins. Every tin comes with a 4-ounce bag of pecan yummies and the recipe cards. The tough part is your job, deciding what design or type you wish to purchase. Pick them out. Great hostess gifts, teacher's gifts, that person, the mailman. Don't forget the mailman.
Okay, so here we have the Yummy Basics. We have our 4-ounce bag, which is $6, or you can get 3 for $15. We have our 8-ounce bag, which is $11 buying one, but our special, which you all remember, is 2 for $20 on the 8-ounce bag and a free shaker of Yummy Crummies. And we have our 1-pound bag. Our 1-pound bag is $20, but if you need 2 of them, we will do 2 for $38. Anytime you spend over $20 at Pecan Yummies, you get a free shaker of Yummy Crummies. Yippee!
Okay, welcome to Pecan Yummy Christmas Market, 8-ounce tins. We have them in cute little snowman tins. They get 8-ounce bags, houses, cute little designer tins, and over 20 designs that you can pick from. We do branding for free if you're a corporation with your logo, business card, or message. As you see, we have a huge variety of wine totes, houses, and wine tins. Over 20 varieties of 1-pound wine tins to meet whatever your desire and design would be.
So this is the Yum Monster and the Yum Master saying thank you for listening to the video. Remember, you can order by email or on our website, pecanyummies.com. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Remember, everything is all natural, gluten-free, and has a shelf life of 8 to 12 months in your pantry. So order now, get your order on time.
Like, love, best when shared.
Hello there, hi. I'm Rona from Rona Fisher Jewelry Design. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the pieces I create, the inspiration and the process. You know, as a young artist, I was really only interested in painting and drawing. I needed to be inspired and engaged in creating images and objects. I loved waking up in the morning or the afternoon, whatever, and run to my studio to see what was waiting for me from the night before. It's kind of like a gift. After those euphoric years of art school, I felt myself being pulled apart between earning a living and being creative. I was unwilling to pursue a career in anything other than being a creator. I decided what I needed was a different medium, one that I could support myself with, yet one that would keep me engaged and growing. Basically, I refused to pick something where I could potentially get bored. So I explored various mediums, and one day I was playing with a piece of silver, and there it was. That was my destiny, my next exploration, a new adventure. Like a blank piece of canvas, the metal was just bursting with possibilities. I quickly learned that I could sculpt wax to cast, fabricate using sheet and wire, and explore hundreds of tools and techniques. The complex and mysterious world of gemstones was waiting to be explored. A lifetime of engagement was just waiting for me. I couldn't wait. Besides the needs to survive physically and spiritually, there is more to it regarding why I make jewelry. There is a relationship here between work and play. The main currents that run through my work are love of nature. All kinds of pebbles, rivers, and rocks influence the designs. They're the basis for all the intricate patterns prevalent in the work. Alongside that is a feeling of being drawn to the ancient world where tools were comparatively simple and everything was sourced and made by hand. As an artist, not only is there this primal need to create, but also the need to communicate, to share this wonder and excitement with others. You're not buying a piece of factory jewelry, which is mass produced with no passion, made by anonymous people on anonymous machines, soulless, stamped out units per hour. No, none of that. You get to be a participant in a special bond between your love of nature, your connection with the ancient past, and an object that you wear to celebrate all of that. My tools consist of some really basic, simple things. We've got a mandrel, files, hammers, torches, all kinds of stuff like that, all kinds of hand tools. And then some really sophisticated modern technologies, such as a laser welder, a computer program, and 3D printer. This process can take hours to get the design just the way I want it. So once I'm happy with the design, have 2 or more parts, I will print it on my printer. From there, I'll cast it in silver. After it's cast, the perfecting and tweaking along with any texturing happens. And then when it's exactly how I imagined it, then I'll create the mold. Using the ancient lost wax method, I then cast again in the metals of the finished piece of jewelry, so gold or silver. When all the parts are cast and clean, they get soldered together and then the stones get set. Any final finishing work, such as texturing and pattern patinaing, gets done at that point. And finally, it gets photographed and sent out into the world to find you, or you can find it. So I'd like to share with you some of my pieces. I work primarily in 3 metals: high carat gold, silver, and palladium. This is the Wild River cuff, which I created while thinking seriously about going on a whitewater rafting adventure. Opted instead to stay in the studio and create the riverbed with all its rocks and tumbled stones, solid 18 karat gold and oxidized sterling silver. The open pebble shapes is a recurring theme, and that suggests the frothy effect of rushing waters. Salt and pepper diamonds give it just enough spark, keeping the piece spontaneous. Now with these earrings, the open freeform pebble earrings, so kind of when you break open a rock or you see a broken piece of rock, you have all these kind of rough textures, kind of like that. And then the diamonds look like they just kind of fell into place. And then we have these little sapphire earrings showing the beautiful blue of the stones because I set them upside down. But the last piece I want to share with you is one of my favorites, not only due to the design, but also resonates with so many people who then commission me to customize this ring using their diamonds or other gemstones that are of special significance to them. These custom pieces help bridge the gap between those 2 worlds, creating a connection, creating a bridge where you can actually have this great connection with somebody that's passed. So I invite you to take a look at my website. You'll see a lot more pieces there, ronafisher.com, and please sign up for our email where we'll send you notifications of shows as they open up and all of our new pieces. Thanks for watching. Bye now.
I am thrilled to have had that chance to see into the studios of these wonderful artists, and I'm sure you are as well. I would love at this point to introduce our first panel. Our first panel includes the wonderful basket makers whom you saw, Pam and Linda Scott. It includes Anne Clark, the stained glass maker. Next is Ellie Yuling. And then lastly, we have Amy, hold on, what did I say? Pam and Linda, Amy Yule, Anne Clark, and Ellie Yuling. Excuse me for getting all that bumbled. I want to see you all on my screen here before I go too much further. 2020 is one of those years where you learn all sorts of new skills on the fly, isn't it? And online production was not in my wheelhouse until now. I am curious, let's start, Pam and Linda. 16 years doesn't feel like very long, frankly, to be the master basket makers that I am observing. Were you doing handwork before that in other medium?
Well, we both crocheted a little bit, sewed a little bit, but we had never done anything like basket work. But we were frequent craft fair attendees.
Okay.
and we were always drawn to the basket makers, and we found this one lady that we just loved her work because it was so different from the traditional basket weavers. So we questioned her about her classes, and she said, "Oh, sure." And next thing you know, we started making them, and
Great.
kind of branching out from there to other teachers.
Was it she, or was it later in your development that you learned how to do things like the Lazy Susan and the infrastructure within a basket? Or is that a technique that you all innovated?
Oh, no, our teachers, as we progressed, each teacher would usually teach us something different. In fact, we usually chose our classes to learn something that we didn't already know. So, and different teachers are usually proficient in different things. So we would pick that teacher. And so like the Lazy Susan, we would see one in a class, or we'd see one at a craft fair and go, we need to figure out how to do this because we really like it. And so then that would be our goal, is to figure that out. And sometimes we can just look at a basket and say, I think I can figure that out. So sometimes, right now we have a lady that wants us to make a lampshade. So we're like,
We can do that.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Figure that out. So
That's one of the things that's such a treat about art, right? Is that it's real live problem solving. You can conceptualize it, and then you start to experiment, you learn from it, maybe have a couple baskets that you keep at home as opposed to take to a craft show, but get a revise and learn.
And people don't realize how much math we use to make a basket, because they have to be symmetrical and come out a certain size, and our reed is all different sizes. So it takes quite a bit of math too.
I feel very gratified, because that's one of my notes to you is I'm curious about the math that's built into this. We're also in tune with the idea of STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And the linkage with math is evident as a parent, as I'm watching my children, and is evident in your art. We have a question from the audience, and that is the screen behind you one that you all made?
Oh, no, no.
All right, well, maybe that'll be the next mountain to tackle.
That would be nothing that next treat to do.
Well, I'd love to pivot from something I heard you say about seeing a new idea and being motivated to figure out how to make it work. And Anne, when I spend time on your website, that has to be the way that you've thought about things. There's so many varieties that you have. The incarnations of your art are from the small scale to the large scale, to from the functional to the representational. Tell us a little bit about how your art has evolved.
Thanks for asking. The basket ladies, I really appreciate what you said about taking classes that you think could help you, or picking classes based on that. That's really what's happened with me. Is I started off with a very basic stained glass course. I fell in love with it right away. But then over time, I decided, well, I'd like to learn to paint, or I'd like to learn something else. And class after class, that's what evolved. I would take a class and then work on it for several years, and that's basically what's happened. The bowls are relatively recent, maybe in the last 5 years or so, and the bowls have been selling very well. So I've been sort of moving more in the bowl direction and less maybe in the hanging. But I've retained everything. I've tried to keep everything going from the original glass all the way through. The inspiration is still there with the glass, whether it's in the window or on the table.
And where do you fire it, Anne? Where's your kiln?
My kiln is in the laundry room, right around.
Oh gosh!
Right around
okay,
the corner from my shop in the lower level, right?
So you said you started in 1986?
That's right.
And so when in your career did you choose to actually go in and buy the kiln?
That was 2004.
So where would you go prior to that?
I actually didn't do any fusing or any painting until then. I took a class on painting before I had the kiln, and I liked it so much that I said, I really have to paint. So I went out and got a kiln, and of course, the first thing with a kiln is you put two pieces of glass together and you fuse it. And so actually I fell into the fusing by having the kiln. and it's been wonderful, using and painting.
So when you're making a bowl, do you start with a bowl frame, or do you create the entire bowl from the glass? You start with a bowl that you then fuse glass to,
No.
or
No, you start with flat glass,
okay.
and you can either take flat glass as a base, either clear glass or white glass, and put colored glass on top of it, and then fuse that. That can be used to make a bowl. And then once it's fused flat, then you put it into a ceramic mold and it's called slumping. Or you can choose to paint the whole thing on clear glass and then flip the clear glass over, fuse it onto the base, and then slump that so that you can make either pieced glass or painted glass. Mm-hmm.
And when you get into a project and it doesn't quite turn out the way you had hoped, are you able to recycle your own glass, repurpose it for further slumping and fusing projects, or do you kind of have to? Yeah.
It depends on the nature of the mishap. I've had my share of mishaps where the kiln shelf wasn't level and things fell off. But basically, if it's not exactly right, a lot of times you can cut it up and use it for something else. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I enjoyed taking a stained glass class with one of my children. We spent some time in Chautauqua, and I really enjoyed it and was struck also by how dangerous it is. So you must take care of your hands, and it's the heat and the shards.
Yes, you have to be aware of safety when you're using glass, not just the glass itself being sharp, but also some of the chemicals that you use, etc., and using the kiln. So yes, you do cover your face, you are careful with your hands and everything.
I think something all of you are going to be able to comment on is, what is it like to create your art at home, and how do other people in your home need to accommodate what you're doing? I'm going to see if we can't move to I believe we're going to be speaking with a young master and not the young monster. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. So on that whole family and at home concept, was the monster bought in from the get-go, or how did all that work out?
No, not really from the get-go, but I would just say that, well, I was kind of overwhelmed, and I was very fortunate because my very first year of business in Maryland, I got a big order from my neighbor who worked for some colleges. And so he just kind of stepped in to help me. And he is an engineer by degree. But he would help me. He would help me separate eggs. He learned how to do a lot of things. And I think that we really complement each other. Like, he has his forte and I have my forte. And so it has worked out super well, really well.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's kind of a pre-COVID nesting learning. My husband had traveled for our entire marriage, and we're 8 months into really being happy that we really like each other on a daily basis, right?
Well, we get along perfectly. I mean, we really do get along, and we just have our different fortes, I think, is the main thing. And I'm super creative, and I would say he's very organized. But
well, I'd say that your shelves behind you would suggest that you're quite organized as well, Amy.
Oh, well, those only got organized after COVID started.
I hear you.
You don't see all the boxes on the floor or the bags, or you don't see my dining room, which, you know, the table is non-existent anymore.
So I am delighted to be part of this show, and I am a partner of the McLean Community Center. I'm the executive director of the McLean Project for the Arts. We have a gallery and a studio in the McLean Community Center. And one of the shows that I really enjoyed that our curator, Nancy Saucer, put on last year was called Intention Invention. And it was how the scientific method informs the process of art making. And at the same time, how some things are unintentional. And I'm wondering if the pecan the yummy crummies were an unintentional
Yeah.
market opportunity.
Yes, they were, because when we first started, and when you cool the pecans after they come out of the oven, we would be cooling them on like those racks, and there would be all of, stuff would drip
Drips.
off. It's a
Sure.
meringue. And so stuff would come off. And in the beginning, we noticed, well, we would throw that away. And then we noticed that people were taking our bags and kind of tipping them back and going like that. And so we decided, well, gosh, if it tastes that good, maybe we could sell it. So entrepreneurs, so then we had to come up with a name for it. And that's where my creativity came into play, because I'm like, oh, well, if it's pecan yummies, then these must be called yummy crummies. And the funny thing about that, when we named them Yummy Crummies, I hired this person to help me make our little label for our shaker with Yummy Crummies. And he brought it to a meeting that I was attending, and someone looked at the Yummy Crummy label, which was supposed to be like pecans dancing. And they looked at it and said, oh, that looks like a potato. So instead of a pecan. So we have potatoes dancing or pecan. Yummy. But people love the Yummy Crummies. And in fact, today I just had an order for 8 pounds of Yummy Crummies. So
Really? Do
that's
people eat it straight, or do they put them on the top of kind of a sweet potato souffle, or what do they do?
Well, this person has told me, because of course I'm curious, what would they do with that amount of Yummy Crummies?
Right.
She says she puts them in her coffee. So I figured she must drink coffee all day long and bounce around the place. But there's many uses for them. Let's just say that all of our recipes include the Yummy Crummies, and it's been a fun exploration for us.
Oh, that's great. And Amy, one of the principles that I find so true is that an artist is always an artist. They can't turn it off. So a creative person is always a creative person. And Ellie, I'm going to assume that it once a teacher, always a teacher. And I'm wondering what the messages that you are choosing to convey with the beautiful images, or is there a theme or an inspiration that ties them all together?
Well, I really love nature, and I love the beauty of nature, sort of the beauty, grandeur, and grace of nature. But sometimes it's just momentary. And that's what's so wonderful about taking pictures, the camera. The camera will capture those moments, for instance, in the reflection that you see.
Isn't that great?
Yes, and that half dome at Yosemite, it's so powerful. It's that, there's the example of that power.
Isn't that wonderful?
Light, I like picking up light, but that moment, capturing that momentary beauty is what
Are you taking all of these photos?
Oh, yes.
So there's a travel itinerary business that we can go into after this. Is that right?
it's a good excuse to travel, to take pictures.
Isn't that gorgeous?
What you're going to find.
Where were the lions? Oh my goodness.
That's
this one is fun. This was in Chobe in Zimbabwe. And I use it for happy birthday, a card, and inside I write happy birthday to you, so that it's,
that's great.
I thought it would be good for a dentist. But
boy, who would have thought that their jaws would open up that widely?
Well, actually, it's something that's a danger. This is an example of the light, the beauty of light with the monarch. I really got deeply into nature when I took a class I was teaching kindergarten, and I learned how to get caterpillars and let them hatch in the classroom. Which is a way to introduce children to the kindergarten. This is an example of a female eastern swallowtail, and you can tell because it has blue at the bottom. And this is one that is an example of a surprise. I love the Queen Anne's lace. But when I took this, I didn't realize that it had a little bee on it until I looked at it on the computer. And so that's the fun of taking pictures. But the whole
So how,
is when you get a card such as mine or pictures such as this, there's a sense of beauty and grace and calm and just a sense of joy that nature can bring.
boy, that's true. How is it that you decided that the cards were the right way to convey your images?
As a kindergarten teacher, I was taking pictures of the children and then other things and sharing it. My husband said, "What are you going to do with all your pictures?" And so I thought, well, I'll make cards, and I was giving them away to the parents of the children as thank yous.
Wait.
Then I met a woman from the Carol Sonheimer, and she said, "Oh, you should join the guild." And that got me started on that.
Isn't that great? And have you experimented with paper, with printing, with various production methodologies?
Well, yes, I've started to make coasters
Oh, great.
that are
Yes.
on tiles with a cork back. And in some cases, people have asked me to take pictures of their animals. And one woman likes yellow roses, so I made some coasters for her. And that was fun. Then these larger pieces are interesting to work on.
And are those available on your website, or are those just your cards?
Just the cards are there right now. I've just started the website. So if someone's
Okay.
interested in getting something on metal or individual coasters or individual cards, I'd be sure happy to help them out.
Well, that is lovely. I have one question as I'm watching all of these. Oh gosh, did you already answer it? Anne, on whether it's possible to fuse glass on an already formed piece of glass?
Emily may have answered that already.
Okay, great. So let me ask one final question, and I'd love you all to comment on it, is how have your practices changed during COVID?
Okay, well, I'll speak up. Let's see.
Great.
I have learned to do Facebook. I never,
good.
and Twitter, Instagram, the whole social media. We derive our income mainly from shows. And since our shows were non-existent, we had to think of other ways to get our name out there. And Facebook has really helped. And another thing I think that happened with me is when I first started my business, I had a lot of distributors, a lot of stores that carried my product. And I must say, I got lazier and lazier as the years went on, trying to find stores to carry my product. South Carolina has opened up maybe more so than Virginia, Maryland, and some of the other states, but stores did open, and I just beat a path to the door. And I have five or six stores right now in Greenville, where I live, that carry my product. And I think that is a huge fact for us, that people can buy it locally. They don't have to go on the web or call me up or see me at a non-existent show.
There's some silver linings of the year. Those are business models that I bet will persist.
Yes, exactly.
Anne, how about you? How has your practice changed this year?
Well, I finally, over many years, people asking me, do you have a website? And I would say, no, I don't.
It's
I
time.
got a website. It was
Great.
really
It's beautiful.
It just forced me into it, and it's been wonderful because I've got so many photographs out there that anytime I get a query, I say, well, just go have a look. If you see something you like, let me know, and so that's really been very good. Also, I had never done a video before. That was really an experience putting that together. I appreciate the guidance that we've been given for this entire thing. It's been really very good. Thank you.
That's lovely. And Pam and Linda, how has your practice changed this year?
Well, I will echo what the others have said. We created a website. We've always had an Etsy website, but we went ahead and did our own website now, and we're tweaking it some, but that was a lot of work. We're also trying to do more with SEO. We've got Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook,
Wow.
and just trying to get the word out there, since we sell a lot at craft fairs, because when people see our product and actually touch it and feel it and realize how sturdy and solid and how wonderful they are, it's hard to get that to come across
On a screen.
on a screen, two-dimensional. So we've been trying to just get the word out there a little bit more about us.
We're hoping we have a large following with our Easter baskets every year, and we've had multiple families order them. And in fact, we've already got 2 in the line for
Two
next
orders
spring.
for next.
So we're hoping that that will bring us through until the COVID lets up and we can continue to have some craft fairs in person, especially looking forward to a McLean one next year.
I know that you've got a team who's right behind you, ready to put that on. They're very excited too. Ellie, before you answer the question, if you would, about how your practice has changed this year, and I'm going to guess maybe without travel, that's been a big deal.
That's
But
right.
we have a question from the chat on whether or not you have a photo of the Grand Canyon.
Yes, I do. But the Grand
Oh, good.
is huge. I would recommend, let's see, Bryce is probably even more spectacular, because the Grand Canyon is so large, it's almost hard to get your thought around it, and it just keeps on going and going. But the Bryce is fantastic. It has those big spires that are magical.
So maybe when we transition off this phase of the conversation, you could put your email in the chat for everybody to see, and the person who's interested in the Grand Canyon could
Sure.
reach out to you, or Bryce. That'd be
There are
good.
several, yes.
So then back to the question about how your 2020 has been different.
Well, I also have never had a website, and so I was sort of felt, okay, I've got to try Etsy. We have a neighbor who has a young woman who's just graduated from college, and so she came over and helped us learn about the Etsy, and I keep adding a little bit to it. Also, I looked, since I didn't have any really new photographs for travel, I looked at some of my older photographs and I thought, oh, well, that's not all that bad. That might be something I could use.
Oh, good.
So
That's right. Oh, well, great. Well, I have enjoyed time with each of you. Thank you so much for engaging in this conversation and for being a part of the McLean Art and Craft Festival again this year. And we know it's new territory, but it's great to explore it with you. Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
Lori.
Thank you.
It's been a
With
pleasure.
that, we will, thank you. Thank you very much. With that, we will turn to our next video, which again will be followed by a panel discussion.
Hi, I'm Charles Cheek. I'm an archaeologist and a potter. As an archaeologist, I was very interested in ceramics and pottery and what it told us about the way people lived, how they ate. And when I was working in the Maya area, I found a large number of vessels and particular forms that were interesting. One of which particularly interesting was a cylinder, like a big tumbler, that the Maya elite used to drink their chocolate. And of course, only the elite got to drink the chocolate. I make high-fired stoneware that's good for the home, good for the kitchen. You can use it in the oven, you can use it in the microwave, and you can use it in the dishwasher. I got stimulated to make this kind of pottery after I taught a course, a team taught a course with a potter. With that inspiration, I went on and took lessons for 30 years, and recently I've set up my own studio. My glazes, I like to have control over my glazes, and so I make them myself. I use powdered minerals and powdered mineral colorants that then gets mixed together with water, so they make a glaze that I can dip my pots into. I also like to use fairly strong colors, and there are 3 of my main glazes are this turquoise green, this blue color, and a dark brown. I also sometimes use this Malcolmshino. The other thing I like to do when I'm making pottery is to alter the forms. I do that because it makes forms a little more interesting than just plain round bowls or round jars. One of the things I have done is on this vessel, as you can see, I've taken a dart out of the side to make a more interesting profile. I also like to make vessels like this baker, where I take a ring of clay, I throw a ring of clay with no bottom, and when it's still wet, not too wet, I'll push it together into a form. I can make it into ovals, or I can square the corners more and make it more of a square or a rectangle. And then I have to put a bottom on it, of course. I also do that with various vases. So this one, for example, I did the same thing I did here, except I threw a taller cylinder, and this one I also had to put a top as well as a bottom on. So thank you very much for stopping by today, and you can buy some of my pottery if you so desire on cdcstoneware.com. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Why not give the gift of art this holiday season? I'm Ellen Rosenthal, and I'm a printmaker. Here are some of my block prints. As you can see, I enjoy interpreting the natural world through my work of prints and print collages. All of my prints start with a drawing that I transfer to a block. I carve the block, ink it, and then apply paper to print it. All of my prints come in standard size mats that fit easily into frames from your local art supply store or home goods store. I also have digital prints on cards of some of my larger pieces and handmade block printed cards for the holidays and for other occasions. Please check out my Etsy shop. You can also see more of my work on my Instagram page. Best wishes to you and your loved ones for a happy and healthy holiday this year.
I'm Gloria Freund of Freund and Friends Photography of McLean, Virginia, and my passion is photographing animals and bringing their stories to life for people to enjoy in their homes. I'm especially keen on underwater critters, so when I was asked to make a short video about my craft, I thought, what better introduction than to take you along to a couple of my favorite places to dive and photograph. I've been lucky enough over the past 25 years to explore oceans all over the planet. For sheer color, nothing matches the reefs of Fiji, whose nutrient-loaded currents bring the soft corals there to full bloom. These healthy reefs pulse with life. No one could ask for a better studio than this. And here's some of those Fijian reefs I've captured in photographs. Cold water brings a completely different color palette and cast of characters. The emerald seas of Alaska and northern Vancouver waters are set off from the encrusting pinks and yellows of corals and sponges. The array of sea life here is different, but as rich as it is in any warmer seas. Here's a few of the characters I've been lucky enough to meet. Here also is the winter home of the ever-playful Steller sea lion, with males more than 10 feet long and over a ton. These are the second largest pinniped, just after walruses. These creatures are all fully sentient. I love those fleeting moments of mutual regard. They've decided I mean no harm, often becoming curious and letting me photograph them, and that's my chance to take them and their stories from their world to ours. Here's another sea lion to steal the heart, who swims the more temperate waters of the Australian Bight, this beautiful but highly endangered white Australian sea lion. It's said people will take care of what they love, so my quest is to widen the window on ocean life and the stories of our cousins who live there. Of course, I can't ignore the humor and personalities of more ordinary creatures. I offer prints of images like these for framing from card size through poster. I also offer many favorites in aluminum metal. For that, my images are imprinted onto the metal for a wall-ready, frame-free presentation impervious to moisture. My note cards are special for telling the story of the creatures on the back of the card. You can purchase these as a one-off or as a dozen variety in a free silk stationery locker. For a truly one-of-a-kind gift, I also bring my sea stories to life on silk scarves. These are thick, extra soft 100% silk satin made to last a lifetime. My pricing from $3.75 to $395 offers something for most any budget. Please contact me at this email for arranging a safe, fun virtual shopping experience.
Hi, my name is Ivy. I have been making handbag 20 years. I love fabric. I like to collect fabric. I have a fun fabric and the fancy fabric. I would like to show you this one's the most popular. It's a fun pattern, can hold a gift card and people using for the car and the corn. We do have a different pair of fabric. And also I have a heavy material, beautiful lining. And I make the glasses pouch with the pattern, and this one is a sunglass pouch with the zipper, and also this one is a cell phone pouch. Looks small but hold a lot. My phone is bigger, and you can hold my cell phone and my lipstick. Adjustable straps. So if you like the bigger size, this size is bigger, one size up, and this one's a tablet. And you can fit your tablet here, and you still have a room put your another thing here and park it here. And one size up here is more popular for the people using for everyday bag. So because of more roomy, this one. We won't forget the iPad bag. iPad bag, same thing, adjustable. So you can fit your iPad, and you can another zipper too. This one I remodel. We have an extra handle. This one is a fancy bag. It's 100% Thai silk. You can use it for evening, but people like this style with the looks small but hold a lot, and we make some kind of everyday bag. You can use it every day. This one day or evening. For me, I do have the leather one. This one I use in 2 years. Hold a lot of things. When I running the business, I need a tote bag. So I can put when I shopping, I just using the small one. And when I go running the business, so the tote bag can hold the A4 vinyl. I'm very popular, people like it. We can hold my book. On my website, you can see many different choice and the side pocket too. If you like the regular bag, so you see the size wide, you can customize. When you see the bigger size, I don't have this one. I can customize for the small bag for you. And also many people ask me for the backpack, and this one look very elegant, but my design can turn to be backpack. On my website, you can see different fabric. And this year, very important for the mask. We have been very busy to making the mask because I put the rose wire on the top and the center. So I decide can open and change the filter. 100% cotton. We do have a many fabric choice on my website. Please shop on my website, gscory.com.
Welcome. I'm Joanne Bast. I am so excited that some of the craft shows that have been canceled have gone virtual. These are some of my beaded sculptures. I just love working with beads. They're great. They provide so much variety to use, not only color, but shine and texture, iridescence, finishes. They make great jewelry. I start with a piece of artist glass or an ethnic piece, add to it and enhance it. Every piece is different and speaks to me in a different way. These are some sculptures. I love doing these. They're rocks that are covered with beads. I use petroglyph figures or just color studies or little animals like turtles and lizards. They're just fun. Bracelets are a great example of being able to do something small to try out a new technique. These bracelets are felted wool. I work in a variety of fiber techniques, including beadwork, knitting, felting, and hand and machine embroidery. My beadwork usually starts with a piece that's either artist made or ethnic, and pick up the lines and design from the piece itself. I don't plan things in advance. Things just happen as they go along. I also do felting, which is laying out of wool and pounding it until it adheres together. My felting often has stitching on it and some beadwork as well. This is a still life, felted, stitched, and beaded. This is what it starts out from, colored wool roving, laid out, and then either wet pounded or needle felted with sharp Barbie needles into a structure. These are machine embroidered pieces. I start with a photograph, print the photograph onto fabric, back the fabric with a canvas so that it's stiff enough that the needle won't stuff the picture right down into the little hole in the sewing machine, and stitch in a free-form manner over the photograph until it's covered. You can see the bobbin thread on the back. This is one that I've just begun. This is one that is nearly finished, and you can see how heavily stitched they end up being. This is Summer Stoop, and it's taken from a photograph that I took of a house in Maine. I like dealing with the different textures that you can get with threads, soft, shiny, dull, fuzzy. I think you get more parameters to work with threads than you do with paint. Also fabric. Here's a couple quilts. The one on the right is a tribute to the moon landing. It depicts the lyrics of the Jimmy Buffett song, The Rocket That Grandpa Rode. I also do knitting and felting hats. They're quite warm, and I find that this fluffy brim ends up being flattering to most people. I also specialize in making hats with ponytail holes. I'm sorry I don't have hair long enough to show you that. My last item here is a knitted and felted headband with little decorations. They're knit as a tube that's flat, and you see there's a set of buttons here. If I undo the buttons, there's a little pocket. Pocket that can take a credit card, keys, anything you'd like to have with you when you are out and don't want your hands occupied. Okay, lastly, we have the little pieces. Earrings, pins, barrettes, fun. These are the relaxing things. Something that's just fun to do. And some more felted pieces. And this is my booth. set up in my husband's trophy room, where all his animals are pushed to the side. You can see some horns sticking up there over the top. Okay, I will sign off and hope to meet you in the next virtual craft show.
My name is BJ Upfer, and I am a watercolor artist specializing in wildlife art and pet portraits on commission. While I am talking with you, I'm going to be showing you examples of my original watercolor paintings and limited edition prints of wildlife and pet portraits of people's pets that I have done that are for sale. My late wife, Marilyn, who was a full-time professional artist, taught me the basic techniques of design and color. After that, it was a matter of practice, practice, practice. I originally tried several different mediums, but settled on watercolors because it gave me the softness of feathers and fur that I was looking for. My subject matter includes local songbirds, waterfowl, butterflies, small mammals, and big game. These are depicted in original watercolor prints and limited edition prints and 8 different sets of 5x7 note cards with 4 cards in each set. I use my own watercolor photos taken over the years for reference materials. Regarding pet portraits on commission, my portfolio includes dogs, cats, exotic birds, horses, and in one case, a Black Angus cow. I ask owners to submit 3 or 4 photos of their pets and identify their favorite one. I then do a sketch for their review and approval, and we go from there. Each of my compositions start with a detailed sketch, which is subsequently transferred to watercolor paper. I have Gumbacher watercolor paints and Arches 140-pound cold press watercolor paper. I do my own matting and framing using acid-free materials. Most of my paintings are vignettes which emphasize the subject and limit the background. My objective is to make my paintings realistic, but not photographic. If you are interested in any of my wildlife art or in getting a portrait of your pet, please contact me by email at opferbirdsandpets with the and spelled out at gmail.com or by telephone at 703-691-1099.
Hi, I'm Shauna DeCruz, owner of Blue Hyacinth Mosaics. I love creating and teaching art. On my website, you will find one-of-a-kind micro-mosaic jewelry, fused glass art, and fine art for your home. Hop on over to www.bluehyacinthmosaics.com to view currently available artwork and contact me for a one-of-a-kind creation just for you. Get in touch with me for a fun evening creating mosaic jewelry with your friends and for summer camps for your children. Thank you for supporting your local artists.
Hello and welcome back. Isn't it great to see everybody's studio? It is such fun for me to see the variety, gosh, from the themes that are consistent, from the watercolor of the animals to the photography of the animals and the sea creatures to the various different meticulous handwork with beads and with glass. It's just really a treat. I am excited in this session to invite Gloria Freund and Shauna DeCruz to join me. I am so happy for the 3 of us to have time together. This is just marvelous. I have 100 questions for each of you. I have got to start with the Alaskan diving and what were those amazing stone-faced fish that had such great senses of humor and smile. They were under a rock.
Well, those were wolf eels. Is actually a type of blenny, which is a cute little fish that we often associate with warm water, but in cold water, it's called a wolf eel. They're a member of that small fish family, but they can go 6 or 8 feet long, but they're actually very friendly. And that was a sort of lifelong bonded pair that you saw in that photograph.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And the seals, how close were you to the seals?
The seals, you kind of become playthings for the seals. They sort of come and chew on you a bit. Sometimes they go a little too far, put a little hole in your wetsuit or dry suit, which is always convenient, but very, very playful. It's all up to the seals what they do. Nobody approaches them. There's no food in any of these encounters. You just sort of, you dive in sort of in general vicinity. If they choose to come over and investigate what's going on, it's as with all my work, it's always up to the animals in terms of the encounter.
Well, I'm going to build on that and branch to Shauna with a question. If yours is the breadth of the oceans and the various different marine and four-legged life, Shauna, you've got about that wide of a breadth in the materials that you work with and in the incarnations that you take your art. What's the theme that unifies your work?
I'm really inspired by nature. I love birds, I love flowers, and I've grown with my children to love nature because we've been teaching them about conservation and all these things, and all of that plays into my work. Because when they see something that they've seen outside in our garden that I've recreated in glass, it makes them really excited.
And you were sharing with me earlier that it's not just glass that you work in, it's metal, clay, and
yes,
a third material, yes? Would you
I
share a little bit more?
Well, it's been quite a journey. I'm a special education teacher by training, and I've done art pretty much most of my life, and I'm doing it full time at this point.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I took my first mosaic class about 7 years ago, and then I said, oh, I really want to build my own bezels because then I can own my piece from start to finish. And so I buy a kiln and I start with metal clay, and then I realize there's a whole world of fused glass out there. So I take a lot of classes with clay and fused glass and mosaics, and I can then pick and choose between all of these media and decide what I want to do and build it into my pieces.
Well, let me transition on that idea of class and where you're learning. Gloria, you have such a breadth of things that are critical for your art, right? Let's start with the number of PADI courses that you've taken and the breadth of underwater and above water photography and the cameras that you have to own. Is all of this self-taught, or are you kind of following a different path to knowledge and incorporating it all?
It is
for each of those.
Yeah, it was pretty much is self-taught. There are a few mentors that I've had along the way, and obviously there's a lot of information on the internet, but it mainly started with just a passion for getting to understand what was going on in the water, learning about the animals that are in the water, and then sort of getting to the photography for the chance to sort of make those the ambassadors that I have encounters with, sort of make those animals the ambassadors, sort of stories that I want to take back to people up on the surface who haven't had the chance to dive. So, but it pretty much has been, aside from those few mentors, been pretty much self-taught. It's kind of, I call it the bumper method of learning, where you bumper, like bumpering along.
Okay.
And then you find out something you got to learn more about. So you sort of dig deep into that little area and educate yourself on that. And then you go along and find something else that really interests you, so that you go and do some intensive research on that. So it's just kind of, I kind of followed the path in a zigzag sort of way.
I get that. And the zigzagging from warm waters to cold waters, that was a really deliberate choice. I've been blessed to do a whole lot of diving in warm waters, and I have not put my toe in the cold, right? So what was that journey? Was it the photography that pulled you, or was it the love of the mammals? What was it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
You kind of really want to go cold water diving.
It is it is definitely chilly, and a dry suit I can stand it for about 45 minutes, and then that's about enough, even with all the things underneath. But it was just curiosity to see, because tropical waters are absolutely gorgeous. In some cases they're more stressed, and you have to tell the stories about what's going on there too. But a lot of the planet is not just one tropical reef. So it was a curiosity to see and experience animals that live in that environment as well, and come to find out that some of the cold water reefs are absolutely packed with life.
Well, the first shot that was in your series on Alaskan waters with the emerald color, did you have to do something with lighting there, or is that just the way the water is filtered? There's light's filtered through the water.
Yeah, the water, cold waters tend to be green and have a lot of nutrients in them, which you want because that's what feeds the corals. But that is the color of the water. It's much more green, emerald colors as opposed to the tropical blue. So the palette is very different. But the diversity of life is absolutely just mind-blowingly rich.
Well, diversity of light is something that I know that you'll have to deal with a lot, Shauna, and how light hits your various pieces. How do you accommodate that in your jewelry, or do you plan for it, or are you just happy for the spontaneity in your jewelry and your mosaics?
So it depends on what I'm creating. With mosaics, there are so many little pieces that go in that the light just gets captured automatically because they're already at various angles. With fused glass, it's a little different, although it is a luminous material. When I create my fused glass jewelry, I have learned to bevel the edges of my pieces so that the light comes in through the side. So it follows a multi-step process of cutting down sheets that I would create. And I learned this with a very wonderful teacher during COVID. So I invested in a wet belt sander, and I sand down the edges to a 45-degree angle, and that lets the light in. And then I polish it back in my kiln again. And that's how I account for light in my jewelry.
And when you are thinking about how you're placing it, I heard you say you build your own bezels, right?
Some of them, yes.
Okay. And do you do jewels as well, or just the glass?
So I haven't. They're expensive.
Yeah,
so
maybe
at this
that'll be the next one.
So at this point, I haven't used any kind of. I mean, I do aquamarine and some turquoise and things like that, but not the expensive ones yet. I always say yet because I know things are changing for me, and I'm learning and constantly acquiring new skills. So it's not yet.
Well, you mentioned acquiring that wet belt sander during COVID. Gloria, how has your practice changed during COVID?
Well, my diving trips have stopped completely.
Right. Yep.
My next scheduled trips are the end of next year.
Oh.
So essentially, I've been taking pictures of things in my backyard, and I've made a little bird sanctuary in my backyard.
Nice.
So a little bird feeders and things like that, so I can at least continue to do photography. But I really, it's
tampering.
Put on ice for a little while until we can go back out and do it some more. Because partly what I think keeps me inspired in it is continuing to be able to dive and experience the animals and bring back.
Well, we have some questions from the panel from the audience for you, and one of them is, when did you start diving? And the second is, have you been in situations that you consider dangerous?
I started diving, I guess, about 25 years ago, which I wish I had started when I was 16, like some people, but I came to it a little late, farm girl, but I don't think I've ever been in real danger. I've been in sort of creepy situations. I think the first time that I came into, it was late at night, and I came into noticing that there were a lot of sort of snakes coming up to the one other person I was in the water with. And this was about 11 p.m. at night, because we were out to try to find the bobbit worm one time. And I saw snakes coming up to sort of my dive buddy, and I'm thinking, I wonder if there's snakes around.
Snakes around me too.
Right. I was getting a little creepy. And then I looked over on the substrate and there were thousands upon thousands of seed crates. And I was a little wigged out by that, but then I came out of the water and did some research on it. And I realized that I had come into a mating aggregation of seed crates. So if I would have known that, I wouldn't have been wigged out. I would have been like,
oh, they're distracted. They're otherwise engaged.
It's a big deal. It's this big, wonderful experience. It's like you just have to get educated about what you're seeing.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
so,
right.
Gloria, I have a question for you. What's been the most fun creature that you have ever photographed underwater?
Oh my gosh, that is a hard one because there have been some really incredible ones. But I have to say the sea lions are the most fun because I think they do things for fun, and I have to say dolphins also. I mean, I feel like these animals, they're all sentient beings, and I feel like they also do things just for curiosity and fun. So
wonderful.
Yeah, and actually, since you asked me a question, I was going to ask you one because you had talked about your kids and educating them about nature and getting them inspired. So I'm wondering if there's any sort of inspiration that you were able to gain from your kids and the discoveries that they've made or the things that have excited them. Has that sort of been able to reflect any of that in some of the pieces that you've made?
So not yet, but in progress. We have a butterfly garden that we had started off, a pollinator garden. And this also ties in with Ellie Ewing's work because she photographs monarchs and we're constantly watching for them. So I have pictures of swallowtails and monarchs that after the holiday season is done, I want to try and recreate in glass. And I'm also doing some glass painting so I could kind of pull those themes in with painted glass as well. So yes, there's so much one can learn through the eyes of a child. Yeah, thank you for that question.
As I shared, I could ask you each 100 more, but we are close to time. I thank you each so much for spending time with us and for engaging with one another. There's so much to learn from you and from the way that you see art and science. And I think I want to close with the quote that I took down from you, Gloria. Tell me if I got it right, but we take care of that which we love. And so we appreciate so much, both of you bringing light in and art and connecting us all with each other through nature. Thank you. And thanks again to the McLean Community Center, the McLean Holiday Arts and Crafts Festival. This has been great to be a part of. I want to remind everybody that McLeancenter.org is the website for you to go check out the sites for all of these artists and others whom you've not yet seen. The site is up through Valentine's Day, so not only is it a holiday shopping opportunity, it's a Valentine's Day one as well. Thank you. Come see the videos again online, and we wish you a very safe and happy holiday.